Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about this dark moon in Cancer that's happening today on July 5th. This is an important dark moon. Um, First and foremost, it's resetting the lunar cycle. So we will now start having dark moons first in a season, followed by the full moon, when before we were having full moons first, right when we got into a season, and then it was followed by the dark moon. So the lunar cycle does this, so like every 14 months or so. So this isn't a rare occurrence, but the way that everything is lining up with this, especially in Cancer, which is initiation, its opposite sign being Capricorn, where Pluto moved out of. I do think this is a really big reset, not just with the lunar cycle, but just with us as people. Working on that theme too, the dark moon is at 14 degrees of Cancer. When the moon is dark, that is when the sun, which represents our masculine, and the moon, which represents our feminine, are conjunct. So they are both at 14 degrees of Cancer. And so to me, this always signals a deep conversation with our masculine and feminine sides. To me, it's always a day of rest. It would be like if you got to see your best friend and they came in and you're like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're just catching up for the day, right? So that's why I always say it's a good time to rest on the dark moon. I feel like as people, we don't ever schedule time of rest. And it's important to know that just because we are resting, doesn't mean that things aren't being created, right? Some part of the creation of that magic, right, is what's happening as we are sitting quietly, as we're sitting silently, as we are just taking a time out and not constantly actively working on something, but allowing, right? When it's these dark moons, it is a time of allowing. And then to me, the new moon is when we start to see a sliver. We maybe, okay, let me think. Let's see. I took this time to take a rest. Maybe it's given me time to think about things differently. Maybe it's given me time to allow new ideas to come in, because I've been able to put things down for a few days, and then we plant those seeds of how we want to move forward. So what's also very beautiful about this is that 14 degrees of Cancer is where Sirius is, and Sirius is our spiritual sun. Sirius is also known as the dog star. So usually on the 8-8 portal, you'll hear us talk about the dog star Sirius and how it aligns with the Great Pyramids. But that's where we get the name the dog days of summer, right? But Sirius hangs out at 14 degrees of Cancer. That's where it is in our zodiac. And so the sun, once a year, will always conjunct Sirius. And then, the moon will usually conjunct Sirius. So, but this year they're together, being conjunct with Sirius. And so again, to me, this is this reawakening, this new way of us seeing ourselves being whole and moving forward. We've been doing a lot of work with healing the masculine and feminine wounds, and the fact that they are together at this 14 degrees mark of Sirius, to me, signals that we can start moving together, feeling more whole as humans. Cancer represents the home. Cancer represents ourselves. Cancer is an initiation, right? It's the cardinal water, and those are initiating signs. And the North Node is in Aries, and Aries is initiation. Aries is cardinal fire. And when we have the North Node in a sign, that's what we're all striving for as a unity conscious. And so we are all striving to show up authentically. At the same time, you need to remember Chiron is in Aries, and Chiron has been helping us heal that wound that we've been carrying around with us, that maybe we didn't think we were good enough, or it more than likely might have been a family wound that was placed upon us. But we're really moving through that now. So now when Chiron comes into play, because Venus will actually be squaring Chiron. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. In a few days, or actually right now. And I think in a few days. Good thing I wrote notes. Venus, who is a personal planet. Venus is the female, represents the female. It's going to come up again. But we've been moving through it so well. I mean, the best we can, right? Doesn't mean like every day is a fucking 10-star Disney day. But when it comes up again, we're getting new information on it. You know, we're getting like, oh, wait, maybe that's not me. Or, oh, you know what? That's not that big of a deal. And so when this quote unquote wound, if it comes up again, we're working with it. It's not stopping us dead in our tracks. You know, it is the idea that Chiron is the great healer, right? Because he was able to heal everyone. He knew all the herbs, right? But he was also teaching us boundaries, right? You just don't keep poison tipped arrows around and give a bunch of wine to other centaurs, right? They go wild and then you get shot in the ass and then you die. So Venus also represents boundaries, and she's in Cancer. And so Venus being in Cancer, she's at home in Cancer, but she feels really good about having these boundaries now. She feels really good about talking with Cancer, who's ruled by the moon, and saying, you know what, moving forward, we've got to keep these boundaries because we've got shit to do. You know, I've got to put myself first, and I've got to make sure I feel good. When I feel good, I can get things done. The sun is in there at the same time, which is our divine masculine. He's okay with it. We have to remember Mars is in Taurus. Taurus rules Venus. Venus rules Taurus, however you want to say it. So this is that, again, another recalibration of our masculine and feminine sides. So this dark moon at 14 degrees hitting at Sirius is, to me, a really big deal, especially because we're starting a new lunar cycle, you know, especially because we are having a second full moon in Capricorn. And, you know, Capricorn is opposite of Cancer, and Capricorn had Pluto in it for 20 years. And I was thinking about this because I was listening to Molly McCord, who's another astrologer, the other day, and she was saying, you know, for the past 20 years, Cancer had to keep trying to work with this Pluto that was in Capricorn, its opposite side. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I never thought of it that way. And now Capricorn is free of Pluto in a sense, right? It's going to go back in there in a few months, but it's not going to bring us back. Pluto gets to come back in and see like, okay, how has everyone changed, right? Because Pluto is that death. Pluto is that rebirth. And it's like now that it's moved out, we can see the rebirth. You know, it's like we've been going through a 20-year death almost. And it is this time of this spiritual rebirth, which also is so interesting because the star Sirius is also the star for Osiris. And if you guys know anything about Egyptian mythology, and this is just a quick overbrush, you guys can look them up. But Osiris was brought back to life by Isis, his sister. And Osiris is linked to spiritual awakening, our expression of ourselves, our authenticity, you know, receiving higher frequencies. And all of that is right in step with this dark moon. Also note, the sun was at 13 degrees of Cancer when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So it was right there near Sirius. So we kind of need to step that up, I would say that. All right, so let's see if I can get back on track here. Okay, Venus, the sun, and the moon are all going to be trining Saturn and Neptune, who are retrograde. A trine is 120 degrees, okay? So again, to me, this is helping us realign this masculine and feminine energy. It's helping us bring back our creative selves. Venus squared Saturn and Neptune as she was going into and going into Cancer. And that was bringing in all those reality checks, right? Pisces, we're getting out of this age of Pisces. And Pisces is the illusion. And so Venus was squaring all these things, then we, then we were seeing all these things for how they were. Let's just say that. And the fact Saturn can also represent masculine energy, an older masculine energy. To me, this is like realigning family relationships. This is realigning maybe power dynamics in your relationships between the men and women in the household, or the energy in the household. Again, no matter how we present, this masculine and feminine energy. We have both inside of us. And this is coming back to a realignment. And to me, though, it's more of this empowerment for this feminine energy that's been fighting for her life for years, quite honestly. But realigning this, because Venus, circling back around, is our feminine self, right? It is our personal planet. She's in Cancer, and Cancer is represented by the moon. And the moon often represents the mother, the grandmother. So we keep having, with Venus squaring Saturn in Pisces. Now Venus is trining, or excuse me, trining Saturn in Pisces. It is this, to me, this realignment of family dynamics. It is this realignment of masculine and feminine energy, especially with Mars. I'm pretty sure is in a sextile with them as well. And Mars represents our physical body. So with Mars sextiling this dark moon, it is us getting reinvigorated. It is us getting more creative again, right? It is us loving ourselves again, seeing ourselves, because we're getting more aligned, right? We're getting back into balance. That lunar south node is in Libra, and Libra is getting us out of people pleasing, and Libra is getting us out of showing us where things are way out of balance and how they need to get into balance. And we have to remember the sun just squared those nodes a few days ago, right? So he's bringing that conversation in to this dark moon when he is talking to his beloved, the moon, when he is talking to Sirius. He's like, hey, I just talked to the nodes. We're still wanting to show up as our authentic self. We're still wanting to get out of people pleasing. We got to bring things back into balance. Let's have this conversation about this. So all of this is happening right now, right? And it's going to be ongoing. This spiritual reawakening within ourselves, this realignment within ourselves, isn't going to end. Okay, isn't going to end. It's not like a one and done, right? A lot of us have been working on ourselves for years, right? But especially, I want to say, the last 4 years, right? And this is sort of a culmination of this work. And it's not to say the work is over. It is to say, oh, okay, look, we got to step one, how many more steps are left? I don't know, but I know there's more than 2. Okay. So, but we get to move forward in this new energy. We get to move forward in this new lunar cycle. We get to move forward seeing these reality checks from Saturn that's in Pisces, seeing these reality checks from Neptune that is in Pisces. And Pisces represents the other. Pisces is a mutable water sign. And so a lot of times we're seeing ourselves like, it could be when I say the other, like, a lot of times we're like, oh, I hope the other notices me. Oh, I wonder what the other thinks about me. Oh, sometimes maybe the other was telling us what they thought about us, and so, but with the sun and Venus and the moon all in Cancer, which is ourself, is saying, well, we don't care that much anymore about the other, because I see the importance about what I think about myself. I see the importance of how I conduct myself. I see the importance of my own uniqueness, right? I see the importance of how I am important, just like that, but also seeing where the illusion was with the other. Seeing the illusion of, oh, I need someone to come into my life to save me. Oh, it's important to make sure I have, you know, the male gaze or the female gaze, right? Like, oh, I see now that a lot of these stories about the other weren't true because it was just this illusion, right? Pisces in its lower self is illusion. So we're seeing that illusion, which is making us feel more strong and more confident in who we are, right? Instead of trying to people please the illusion, right? South Node in Libra, we're getting out of that. We're like, oh, forget that. And then North Node in Aries, oh, I'm lighting myself back up. I know how important it is for me. I get now why the world needs me as who I am. All this is happening. You know, Mars in Taurus right now, and I haven't been doing a very good job. I'm just gonna be honest with you, explaining how big Mars in Taurus is right now. So bear with me, but hopefully you guys can feel the energetics of it, if nothing else. Because Mars is that masculine side of us that has been rebirthed, right? Mars and Aries. Because they were getting hit in the ass by Uranus, I want to say back in 2018, 2019, when Uranus first went into Taurus. So now I see them as divine masculines. I see them as that divine masculine energy. And so before, when the idea of Mars would just to get angry, right? Because he was birthed out of anger, quite honestly, from not Mars, but Aries was birthed out of anger, right? From Hera, because she was so pissed. But now they've got to meet this divine masculine divine feminine energy on the planet. So now they are the spiritual warrior. And so the fact that Mars is going through going through Taurus. Taurus is fixed Earth. You know, Taurus represents creativity, beauty, money, how we value ourselves, how we value our time. Right? We want to plant seeds. It's a good time to plant seeds with old Mars and an Earth sign, right? Because he can keep shoveling. Okay. To get those seeds planted. But the fact that he's in there at the same time, the sun and the moon are at Sirius, or conjunct Sirius, is telling me, he's having a conversation with all of them as well. Venus in feminine signs, whether you guys want to hear it or not, but they are more strategic, honestly. The moon, Diana, Artemis, she's strategic. Aries, I think who might be her brother or cousin, I don't know. He gets weird, as you guys know. Wasn't known for his being strategic. Okay. So we have this masculine planet in this feminine sign, and he's going over the Earth that Uranus has been digging up for fucking years, right? And now Uranus is in this new spot of 20 degrees of Taurus. Mars is coming up on that spot. He's really listening, right? We go and lay in the Earth, right, to get those negative ions, right? We go to the Earth to become new again, right? To balance out all the positive ions that we get, like when we're sitting in front of computers. And so Mars is going over this new Earth that's been churned up. He's in a deep conversation with this new Earth. It's not going to be the same ever again, right? And I know we say that, but really, we're going into a new time. We're going into a new lunar circle. Mars will hit 21 degrees of Uranus. Shit. Mars will hit 21 degrees of Taurus and 25 degrees of Taurus, where Uranus and Jupiter were conjunct at 21 degrees, which was a new spot. And then he'll go and he'll be with Uranus at 25 degrees of Taurus, where it hasn't been for 80 something years. Okay. So really, within inside of us, this masculine energy is starting to come over new territory, right? That's been unearthed, right? It's been unearthed. The greatest thing is that we're from the earth, right? So for the ones of us that have been doing the work, okay, keep doing the work. Like we're getting there. The ones that are starting to do the work, good news, you've got a lot of good energy to propel you forward, right? So hopefully it won't be as hard. And like it was for the rest of us, you know? We can all get on board together to go to the spaceship and get the hell out of here. I digress, just kidding. We're here on Earth for a reason. So again, it is this resetting of this masculine and feminine energy moving forward. You know, Osiris was put back together by his sister, right? That's that masculine and feminine energy. The sun and the moon, that's our masculine and feminine energy. We are breaking down all those old patriarchal bullshitty stories that didn't help the masculine or the feminine, right? And now we're all starting to show up as who we are. And this dark moon Cancer is really hitting all those points to me. Okay, one last thing, because there's more. The other day, Mercury was at 0 degrees of Leo. And so it was opposite Pluto, who's an Aquarius at 1 degrees retrograde, right? Pluto's getting ready to move back into Capricorn one final time. And so to me, that was initiating a new conversation. That was initiating a new way of us speaking to one another. That was initiating a new way of asking questions moving forward. Mercury had to sit across the table from Pluto and Aquarius and be like, let's read the room. Where are we going forward, right? Because we can't go backwards. And so they had this new conversation that will start to unfold the more as they move away. That's going to bring in us feeling confident about talking about ourselves. That's us going to be feel confident about inspiring others to be themselves. Because we're initiating all that within us with the sun and moon in Cancer. So just know that. I'm not going to go too much into that, but Mercury that was opposite Pluto to me, that's what that was signaling. So a lot of good energy, a lot of strong feminine energy. It's not going anywhere. The sun and the moon are next to each other. They're the same energy. There's none of this, you go ahead, no, you go ahead. They're going ahead together. So stay in this dark conversation. Really look and see how your home has changed. A lot of us are going through so many changes with the home. And I mean, some of it's like literal changes with like, some of us are losing parents, some of us are losing pets, you know, some of us are changing homes, some of us are getting jobs. And all these things are changing the dynamic between what we thought masculine and feminine energies were. It's changing the dynamic of what we thought our families were supposed to be or what they meant. And it's moving more into a personal side of us. It's moving more into a personal way of, this is how I'm showing up and I feel good about that. You know, Cancer wants us to feel safe. That masculine energy, they say the masculine energy is supposed to make us feel safe, I guess. You know, the feminine energy is supposed to, I would imagine, make us feel safe too. So see if with this new realignment of these masculine and feminine energies, if you're starting to feel safer in your own home. See how you're changing things around so you do feel safer in your physical home, but also you as your own home. Are you doing your exercises? You know, are you doing your breathing? Are you not listening to stuff that's going to make you get gaslit? And if you do get gaslit, are you noticing, okay, I feel gaslit. What do I do to get myself out of this? What do I get myself just to move through this? What do I tell myself to know consciously? These aren't real stories, you know, how to stay conscious through this. All that is this initiation of Cancer. All of this is that initiation of going back to this moon energy that moves at her own clip, that understands intuition, that understands how to work with the sun in such a deep way. It's I don't even have words for it, right? Because it's nature. It knows what to do. And that's what we're realigning with. We're realigning with trusting ourselves because we understand that our masculine and feminine is realigning. They're working together on the same page. So to me, that's what this dark moon in Cancer represents. No big deal, huh? So you guys rest for the next couple of days and allow things to do the things that they need to do, you know, have confidence in that. We don't always have to have our hands in things, right? That's when setting intention, even if you want to just set the intention as you're resting, that your life is aligning exactly how it's supposed to be moving forward, and it's going to be more glorious and more beautiful than you could have ever imagined. Okay, so that's a very good intention, I would say. Okay, friends, if you guys have questions, please reach out. If something didn't make sense, please reach out. You guys can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Independence ST NOLA. I haven't been keeping up with my websites because that's just where we are right now. But they're there. But you guys can always reach out to me here on YouTube as well. Okay, you guys have a beautiful, soft, quiet, dark moon and allow everything to keep moving forward for us. Okay, till next time.